Hi, and welcome to another edition of Onside SA. Our last one standing has got started. We waited until the second week so the Manchester teams were involved, and but our usual number of entries. And Budge, good results for the guys who were picking teams, but still a few went.
Yeah, Man United, Newcastle, those are the major casualties, Paul.
Yeah.
But, a lot of boys, was panicking because we had a few hiccups. We couldn't double check the names until I did it later on that night. But I was praying that Everton would win. We had 150 odd people on them.
Yeah.
And there was nothing worse. They were 1-0 down in 20 minutes. And they were lucky, Paul. I know the red card and that few defensive errors.
Yes.
But thankfully they went through. A lot of the big teams went through, Paul. So it gives everybody a week to gloat.
Yeah, so just to let you know, there's 393 left. And just looking at some of the people who went through these, 100% records are... Like some guys take a lot, like Andy Sear, Clint Heap, Raymond Horn, Graham Hawkins, Eric Narak, Mark Curry, and Sean Matthew. Is that it?
Yeah, well, Sean made a mistake. Hopefully it works out to his,
in his favour.
His favour. Yeah, he thought it was 300 Rand an entry. He always takes 3 entries. So he deposited 900 Rand. So he had the option, either A, give him the refund, or carry on with 9. So he put all 9 on Everton. After a few minutes, he must have been panicking. But, thanks to Sean. There were several guys that had 3s and 4s, Paul, that all went through. But, I had to limit it to 5 and over. So, some guys, I put them all on one team. Everton and Arsenal, those were the popular 2 choices. But,
Arsenal scraped through, but ladies went through. It's always how we
every lady that entered went through.
Every lady. Renee Ruas, is it Marlene Laveau, Carla Quintus, Raquel Quintus, Dora Roussos, Julie Usher, Michelle Tovey, Kerry Varga, and Boris Ambila.
Well, that's Garth's wife, Carol. She always goes further. Yeah, they called her Boris. That was her nickname at Ambila. So Garth enters her under that name. Doesn't want to embarrass her.
Garth went through.
For the second time since we started, Paul. A lifetime achievement. But he hasn't got past round 2 once. So. And Roger Laveau. He always enters a family. So he got through as well. Well done to Roger,
Yeah, now we've had a few hiccups. I wonder if we can get Stevie B on the line loud and clear. We're going to have to use our mobile. It's a public holiday. Let's see if he comes through.
Good morning.
Morning, Steve. We're using the mobile today. It's a public holiday here.
It is. It's Heritage Day, isn't it?
That's right. Well done, Steve. Well done. I just hope we can hear you loud and clear in the studio. It sounds clear enough to Budge and I. Is that right?
Steve, you there?
I'm here. I can hear you. I can hear Paul very clear.
Okay.
Just speak again, Budge, to see how clear that was.
Just speak again, Budge.
Yeah, it's, Steve, congratulations for getting through to the last one standing, round 1.
This round's the trickier one.
Yeah.
The trickier one now. I'm going to make a mistake, I know, because I'm going for Paul's boys.
Oh.
No, you're through.
I know.
You're through.
They're going to help me one year.
Yeah, they've got to help you. You're right. Stevie, just before we get rolling, we've known your pick. I see a Bood, Pigram, Ramsey, they all went through, so it must have been easy. And just touch on the Leyton Orient Spurs call-off. Was that strictly COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because what's happened is that the
lower
league teams do not have regular testing. They basically can't afford it. So, they haven't made a decision yet whether the game has been awarded to Tottenham. That's what I heard was going to happen, because the next round is supposed to be played next week, and there isn't a gap in the schedule. So,
okay,
well, interesting. I think the decision has to be made in the next couple of days whether they can replay it. I don't know when they can replay it.
Yeah, you can't replay it if the next round's coming up. So, and will they have cleared COVID by the next round? Leyton.
Well, the Orient players are. Tottenham players have been tested and they're okay.
Yeah.
It was Orient are basically self-isolated. So whether or not they are able to fulfil their fixture at the weekend, we don't yet know.
Yeah. I think they've got to let Spurs go through.
Yeah.
It's not their fault that Leyton Orient.
Yeah, exactly. And Tottenham, have got some crazy schedule anyway with European games. Then there's the international break. They just can't delay it anymore. It's not as if Orient were expecting a big crowd in, because obviously there's nobody in, so there's no real. Tottenham actually, offered to pay for all the testing and everything, but Orient decided that it just wasn't right. I mean, they knew that there were some players tested positive. They basically just shut the ground and sent everybody home.
That's true. Steve, on to the Premiership. What's the latest? Any new signings? Have Man United ruined another transfer window?
Well, they are linked very heavily with Alex Telles, the Porto left-back, Brazilian, who's keen to go. I think they're looking at about 30-odd million. But there's no question, United have to buy somebody at the back. So they're linked with centre-halves, they're linked with backs. They're still linked with Jadon Sancho. That hasn't gone away. But I can't believe they would spend their transfer kitty just on Jadon Sancho without doing something at the, either sort of one of the full-backs or a centre-half.
Yeah. I was going to ask you a question. I was watching highlights this morning. That striker who plays for Chelsea, I forget his name, who got a hat-trick last night.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Havertz, yeah.
Where did he come from?
Bayer Leverkusen, yeah.
Leverkusen.
Leverkusen paid a lot of money for
71 million. I can't believe the figure.
Yeah, and he's actually, he scored a hat-trick against Barnsley, but, he hasn't, he's finding it a little bit harder than I thought, and, some pundits yesterday were saying that he looks like he needs to bulk up a bit. He's being ball quite easily.
Yeah.
So, again, a lot of pressure. These young players with huge, transfer fees, and the same as if you look at someone like Kepa in goal. He's got no confidence at all at the moment, because he was the world record goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's looking suspect. He's on borrowed time. So is the English keeper.
Yeah, Jordan Pickford made a shocking mistake last night.
Yeah.
Very similar to the sort of Kepa mistake in that respect, and a goal was scored. So he is still Gareth Southgate's number one pick, but you've got sort of goalkeepers like Nick Pope, sort of definitely, and Henderson, players like that, got to be given their chance at some point.
Yeah.
Steve, talking about mistakes, Man United had a 90-minute one last Saturday. Can you see them rebounding at Brighton?
Well, look, you can't write United off. Obviously, that was their first league defeat in a long time. But I have been very impressed with Brighton. I think they haven't really strengthened. They brought in Ben White back, who was on loan at Leeds. But actually, Graham Potter's got them playing some very good football, and they were won easily at Newcastle. I thought they played very well at home to Chelsea for an hour. Chelsea caught them sort of cold with those late goals, but I think United have really got to up their game. But Brighton play some nice football. It's Graham Potter has got them playing with a good style. They haven't lost away from home, which is very interesting, since January. And obviously, although United went there during the lockdown period and won quite comfortably.
Yeah.
So I think you just don't. You expect to see a reaction from United if they can't afford to lose two in a row. So.
All right. Then on to the team that beat us last week, Crystal Palace, 2-2. Can they upset Everton?
2-2.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. Palace, I remember they won at United last year as well. They sit back and catch on the break with their fast players. Everton have looked really strong team, and they are conceding some goals. But they got goals in them, and I've been very impressed with the way they've started. I can see Everton not losing this one. It's going to be tight, but I think they might just sneak it.
All right, Steve. On to Sunday, Yorkshire Derby. I'm sure all the fans there will be looking forward. Sheffield United Leeds.
Yeah, that'd be a good game. Leeds. Although they sort of beat Fulham 4-3, they were still very suspect at the back themselves. Sheffield, I think we're going to feel fairly aggrieved. They obviously really don't like going to Villa Park. After the phantom goal some months ago, and now this time, with the sending off and missed the penalty and ended up losing. I think they'll be determined to get a result. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it'll be low scoring. I just think Sheffield United won't want to lose this one at home to their Yorkshire rivals. I just think it's going to low scoring draw.
All right, Steve. Your boys, Fulham, can they get on the winning spree?
Well, it's not. These are the sort of games that we have to be looking to get a result if we want to stay up this year. We are linked with one or two players, whether they're going to be in on time to play. We're looking at a couple of centre halves at the moment. We have to go for it. I'd be disappointed to lose this one. it's hard to predict us to win though. But I think at the very least, I think we'll get a point.
I see you rested Mitrovic last night. Was he injured or did he just rest?
No, not at all. Fulham rested 7 of their starting 11 from Saturday. As most of the Premiership teams did rest players. But in fact, the team that played last night was pretty much most of the team that played in the Championship.
Okay.
And were 2 quite comfortable winners at the end against Sheffield Wednesday.
The big game is obviously Liverpool-Arsenal. Can Arsenal cause a bit of an upset?
Yeah, well, this is really. I mean, Arsenal playing very well this season. Liverpool, I thought, second half, particularly obviously against the 10-minute Chelsea, were strong. They just look as if they're just getting back. I think they certainly tightened up at the back after their sort of 3 goals they gave away against Leeds. And this will be a good game. I think Arsenal will go there with a lot of confidence, especially as again resting a lot of players last night, but had a good win at Leicester in the cup. I think that Liverpool might just be too strong, but be very interesting to see where Arsenal are after that match at the weekend, because if they pinched the point there, I think a lot of people will be thinking, well, they're not going to be far off the top 6 place themselves.
Yeah. Talking of the Championship, Barnsley host Coventry City. I was impressed with Coventry last Friday night. Can they cause another upset?
Yeah, I think so. I think they played very well, Coventry. And Barnsley have started pretty poorly. They had a couple of wins in the cup, but in the league they've not started at all well. Had players sent off last week. Obviously, although they started well last night, they were well beaten by Chelsea in the end, 6-0. But the sounds of it could even have been more. I think Coventry could get a result there. I think they worked, as I said, I saw the game as well last Friday. They worked very hard. Yeah. Especially, that they play all their games effectively away from home because they haven't got a home ground. But so I think I wouldn't be surprised if they go there and maybe get a result.
Okay. Well, Barnsley lost to Reading last week. I think they had 2 players sent off. You think Cardiff will be too strong for them?
I think they will be. Cardiff had a good away win last week. Yeah. I think, again, Reading have won 2 games, but obviously Barnsley did have 2 players sent off, so obviously made a difference. But I think Cardiff will just be a little bit too strong for them.
All right. Now, the big game looks like Millwall versus Brentford.
Yeah, Millwall have got a good record against Brentford at home. Beat them last year. Brentford had a good win last week. Rotherham against Huddersfield, and then Millwall won themselves away. I think this will be a tight game. Brentford obviously lost their first game. They want to start sort of bouncing back. They had a good win in the cup on penalties at West Brom. Yeah. I think Millwall. I think this will be a low-scoring game, but I think Millwall could hold them. They're pretty hard to beat at home.
Millwall with a draw. Okay, now my boys Preston, who I can't believe, if we'd won last night against Brighton, who rested their team, we made 8 changes from the team that drew Norwich. Talk about needing the money. We had Man United at home in the next round. He makes 8 changes. I couldn't believe that.
It's just a shame that, we expect the Premier League teams to rest players. They make squads. But when the Championship teams do it, then you just know they're not going to win because, a Championship reserve team is not going to be stronger than a Premiership reserve team. And it sounded like, Preston gave a really good account of themselves until the late second goal. Yeah. So I think that was a shame because I think, if they would have played United, it probably would have been on telly. They'd have got money for that, even though there were no fans. So, but at home, they are a strong team. And I know they were disappointed to lose that first home game to Norwich, but I think it'll be a tight game. Stoke are not a bad side. They had, they won last night, rested 1 or 2. They've got a stronger squad. Yeah. I think that could probably be a draw as well.
All right, Steve. Last but not least, QPR at home to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, Borough have not had a great start. You just don't know what you're going to get, but they're better away than they are at home. But QPR are strong at home. Yeah. So I've got a feeling that QPR might just edge that one.
All right, Steve. Now, last week you caught it right. You went for Luton at home as your best bet to beat Derby. They got a late goal to win. Who are you going for this week?
I'm going to go for Birmingham City. Home to Rotherham. I just think, they had a really good home win against Brentford. You'd expect them to be too strong. So I'm going to go for Birmingham.
Okay, and your value bet?
I have to say, I did look at those odds for Brighton. I think some people might think, they've got a good chance the way they play. But I'm going to go, maybe a bit of surprise, I'm going to go for Luton Town at Watford. Watford has still got a lot of players out injured. uncertainty about players leaving. And Luton put up a good show against United, but they've won all their other games. And it's a local derby. Obviously, there aren't fans there, but I think they could maybe force a bit of a surprise.
All right, Steve. Hopefully, it's great minds think alike, because Birmingham are my best bet as well. But get studying for the last one standing, Steve.
Let's get going, Stevie. We need you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to, I hope I haven't jinxed them, but I'm going to go for Tottenham.
Good man, Steve. Good man.
I mean, the way they ripped Southampton apart last week, and then having watched the Newcastle game as well, and I was at the back. But, I think maybe with I guess they should be upbeat with obviously Gareth Bale coming and Reguilon as well.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for Reguilon. I mean, nobody seems to mention him because obviously he signed at the same time as Gareth Bale, but. I don't know whether Reguilon will be in the side. I'm not sure Bale is quite match fit, but
he won't start.
I think that the impetus there. I'd be surprised if Tottenham don't win that.
Thank you, Stevie. Until next time, au revoir.
Indeed.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks very much, Steve. Thank you. Cheers. Bye. Well, at least we managed to get hold of Stevie B and have a chat with him and let you know what's going on. But let's go and have a look at these Premier League fixtures. It's getting very interesting. You've got to decide on your last one standing.
Yeah,
and
Paul.
Budge, tell me your thoughts here.
7 to 10. Can we get any worse? But this is a tough game. They always give us a hard game, Paul. You can't take 7 to 10 Man United. What we saw last week, I know he played the lesser players in midweek. We went to Luton, and once Rashford and the boys came on. 2 late goals. Paul, there'll be a reaction. I just can't take 7 to 10. My heart says Man United, but Steve, 7 to 2 Brighton's a great price, Paul. But I think the win and draw Brighton would be my play there if I wasn't a Man United supporter. I would leave the game. I don't really like having a bet at lunchtime kickoffs, but hopefully it's Man United, Paul. But the draw's a big player.
Crystal Palace a big price at home.
So do I. We were on Everton last week. Defensively, they're woeful. That goalkeeper, Paul, he's
giving them the jitters.
I watched him at Preston when he was on loan from Sunderland. Crystal Palace are a decent team. At home, they're tight. I think this is a draw written all over it, Paul. 1-1, 2-1. I think there's goals, but Crystal Palace, I fancy to get at least a point.
Now, West Brom, with regard to West Brom.
West Brom,
they've had
Chelsea.
a shocking start.
Paul, last week I really felt sorry for him. The guy, the ex-Arsenal thing, was it Gibbs, poked Hummers in the face, or one of the guys. Yeah, they played well. They exposed Everton at the back.
Yeah.
But it's just defensively they're woeful, Paul. Just clear the ball. It's got to be Chelsea. Yeah, I think Chelsea, Chelsea in over 2.5 goals, I think was 12 to 10, Paul. That looks the right play. Chelsea to win by more than 1. But West Brom, I think, will score.
Yeah.
But it should be Chelsea all day.
Southampton got a good smack. Burnley fighters, but what do you see here?
Well, I fancied Burnley last week, but the 2 centre-halves, Ben Mee and Tarkowski, were both out. If they both play, they've got a great chance. Southampton last week going forward could have scored 4, but Spurs could have scored 10.
Yeah.
I don't know what this idea is, trying to push up to the halfway to squeeze
Not
it.
against those boys.
Because Harry Kane, 1 touch over the top, Son was in. If Kante had done that for Chelsea against Liverpool, Werner could have got in a few times, but fortunately for Liverpool, Kante was on the ball. But I can see 23 to 10, but I'd wait for the team sheets. If Tarkowski and me play, I'm going to be backing Burnley. But obviously it's a last-minute call, Paul. But other than that, I think it draws a big player, 23 to 10.
I'm with Sheffield United.
Paul, that was my bet of the weekend. I had 6 bets going on to score in both halves, to score the first goal. I backed them. Luckily, I went for the bookings. It saved me a few rand. That's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Paul, give the yellow card, and if it's a bad one, it's straight red. The linesman's in line. How can he not... They were, Paul, I was sick having a beer. I nearly puked when this red card came out. I fancied them. You can't back Leeds. Defensively, they're woeful.
Yeah.
They should score Leeds, but 17 to 10, Paul, Sheffield United is my value bet of the weekend.
Okay, let's look at the next sheet.
Yeah, Paul, Tottenham should win. Newcastle, I felt sorry for Steve Bruce. They beat West Ham easily. There were 2 VAR decisions that went against them in the first 10 minutes. They were 2-0 down. Never got back into the game. Tottenham could have been 3-0 down against Southampton, Paul.
Yeah.
But luckily they were playing Southampton, whose defence was woeful. Spurs should win, Paul. I think playing in the
they-
Europa
I
League
think
will
they-
help Spurs because they've got a big squad, play all the squad players, and guys need time, get their match fit. You know, Spurs to win by more than 1 goal, Paul, is like even money. That would be my play there,
Yeah,
but Tottenham should be too good.
I agree with you. Man City,
Yeah, Man
They'll beat
City should be
Leicester.
too good. You know, Leicester, the centre-half Ndidi, you know, he's a
He's just
midfield
been
player,
injured.
but he's out for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Paul, I just can't see Man City not scoring plenty against this team. Leicester may score. I think both teams to score. Man City, both teams to score. It's 14-10. Man City all day, Paul.
all
you
day,
know.
all day.
You know, especially now they signed Acu. He's not the greatest of headerers, but he's very quick. And if he
Who's he-
counters Vardy, he's the 40 million signing from Bournemouth that Man City made. And he's quick. You know, he should be able to cope with Vardy, but should be Man City all day.
And then West Ham were stiff against Arsenal.
Gee, Paul, you know, when you watched it, you know, how could they get beat? You know, you feel for Moyes. It's not going right for them, but their League Cup teams played well. They won 5-0 in midweek. You know, I wasn't impressed with Wolves in the first half against Man City. You know,
Yeah,
they
not in
came
the
back.
first half, yeah.
You know, defensively, they're a little bit suspect now. I know the guy went to Spurs, but apparently they signed Semedo from Barcelona, which is a great signing. I can see an upset, Paul. I haven't really been impressed with Wolves so far.
Yeah.
You know, they did beat Sheffield United 2-0. They scored 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, but after that, they were struggling. I can see an upset. David Moyes will have his troops fired up, Paul. Win and draw West Ham. Even it's a 1-2-3 game in all exotics, but don't be surprised if West Ham cause an upset.
Fulham,
Paul, this is make or break for me for Fulham. You know, they lost their first 2, never looked like winning either game, conceding goals aplenty. You know, Aston Villa, it's their second game. I wasn't impressed with them against Sheffield United. They've got good players, but they're not for me. This is Fulham's chance, Paul. If they can't get a result here,
yeah.
you know, both teams to score looks a certainty to me there. And I'm hoping for Steve's side. But otherwise, it's a long season if they don't get anything from this game.
Very long season.
And
Okay.
Liverpool, I think,
Liverpool
should be too strong.
beat Arsenal, but it'll be a good game to watch. Monday
Yeah.
night, eh?
Monday night, Paul, 9 o'clock.
All right, let's look at championship fixtures, Budge.
Paul, we
Interesting,
kick
eh?
off on Friday. You know, Huddersfield have been woeful, and so have Notts Forest. The
Yeah.
manager's fighting for his job. You know, I fancy Notts Forest are the 2 teams, but it's
Me too.
hard. Both teams have been struggling. The draw's got to be a player, Paul, even though I fancy Notts Forest are the 2 teams. You know,
Okay.
Swansea should beat Wickham. You know,
Yes.
I've watched Wickham. They're one of the weaker teams in the league. You know, like early kick-off, I'm a bit suspect with, but it should be Swansea all day, Paul, 8-10. Of the 2 teams, I watched Coventry last week. They beat QPR, Paul. What a nice footballing side to watch.
Yeah.
You know, Barnsley have struggled at the start. Win-draw, Coventry City there. I think it was like 6-10, Paul. That's my play in that particular game. And as we both mentioned, I think Birmingham,
Yeah.
you know, they beat Brentford. You know, they drew away at, I think it was Cardiff, also at Swansea last week, 12-10. Rotherham are a poor side. Just hope they don't turn up this week. But 12-10 for me, Paul. That's in all my bets.
Okay, and the next one's Cardiff.
Yeah, I like
Reading.
Cardiff to beat Reading. You know, Reading beat Derby away, and they beat Barnsley 2-0. Barnsley had 2 players sent off. You know, Cardiff a decent team. I think they'll be in the playoff situation again, and I like 11-10 Cardiff, Paul. Derby County Blackburn. I can't have Derby. Rooney came on the other day. You know, when teams are out of form, Paul, struggling for goals, you've got to go against them until they do come right.
Yeah.
Blackburn score goals for fun. I think there'll be goals there, Paul, but Blackburn in a draw for me there. Yeah, London Derby, Millwall, Brentford. I think Brentford are coming up this year, Paul, as long as they can hang on to the 2 boys up front.
Yeah.
I think they're coming up. Millwall are hard to beat at the Den.
Millwall haven't scored yet.
They haven't scored, but they drew a Stoke. You know, they're 2 hard games, but I think it's Brentford, Paul, but I'd include the draw in my exotics in that particular game. I fancy Preston. I couldn't believe we should have beat Norwich by all accounts and what I've read and heard. You know, we made 8 changes against Brighton last night, which I find amazing. I'm chancing 15-10, Paul. Stoke City buried us. We had a 20-1 double to bet to land last week. They got beat with their best team by Bristol City at home. It'll be a close game, Paul. You've got to include the draw in exotics, but I'm going to chance Preston to win at 15-10.
Okay, then QPR.
QPR Middlesbrough. You know, I was impressed with Middlesbrough. They got beat 1-0 by Watford away, and they drew with Bournemouth 1-0 at home. And those are 2 teams obviously got relegated. I think they can cause an upset, Paul. I like Middlesbrough of the 2 teams. QPR at Loftus Road are always dangerous, but Middlesbrough in the draw for me in that particular clash. Yeah,
Okay.
London Derby, Watford, Luton. You know, Luton are going well. But they scored late against Derby, and they beat Barnsley in the first game. If Watford have several of the players back, they should be too good. But you know what derbies are like, Paul.
Did Luton lose to Barnsley?
No, they beat them 1-0 last minute. And then they beat Derby 2-1 at home. But it's a 1-2-3 game exotic. So I'd side with Watford of the two teams, Paul.
Okay.
2 games are Sunday because Bristol City and Bournemouth both play in the League Cup tonight. You know, I like Sheffield Wednesday got beat by Fulham last night. This will be a close game, Paul.
Yeah.
They're both teams to score in both of those games. And I like Norwich at 19-10, Paul. Bournemouth go to Man City. I think he's going to play his best team. And Norwich, decent team, Paul. 19-10 would be my play, especially on Sunday when there aren't many decent games.
Okie dokie. Okay, right. That looks very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Budge. So we've done both leagues.
Yep.
Looks interesting.
On to the
Are they
exotic.
going to show the championship games here?
Well, Paul, there's the Friday night game, there's the early game, and I think the 2 Sunday games may be on. Once they clash with Premiership games, Paul, they tend not to show them. ESPN do show them, but they show the Scottish and Turkish and Dutch.
Yes.
So I'm hoping they're on, Paul. I always tape the games and watch them because that's the best punting league, even though it is the toughest league to bet on.
Okay.
But, you know,
Lovely.
hopefully they are on. The Friday night game's definitely on.
All right, let's go look at your sixes.
Oh, Paul, kick-off, obviously it's there, the English one. I've gone win and draw on most of the games. I've thrown the draw in with Man United at Brighton. I don't see Swansea City losing at Wycombe Wanderers. I've thrown the draw in with Watford in the London derby against Luton Town. I'm throwing the draw in 2 with Everton. I know everyone fancies him, but I think Crystal Palace will give them a game. Chelsea do look the best bet to beat a woeful West Brom. And I think Burnley, don't see them losing to Southampton, especially at Turf Moor, 192.
Okay.
Our second one, I've gone Everton win and draw at Crystal Palace. I've gone the field in the QPR Middlesbrough clash. I don't see Cardiff City losing at home to Reading, who's surprisingly atop of the championship. I've banked Birmingham to beat Rotherham. I've gone the field in the Millwall Brentford fixture.
London derby,
because I think Chelsea will be too good for West Brom, 288. So it's 216, sorry. Onto the soccer 10. I've gone Everton win and draw at Crystal Palace. I've sided with Middlesbrough to avoid defeat at QPR. I've banked Watford to beat Luton. Cardiff City to beat Reading. I've gone the field in the Barnsley Coventry City match. I've banked Birmingham City to beat Rotherham. I've gone the field in the Derby Blackburn Rovers game. I've gone Preston North End win and draw at home against Stoke. I've gone Brentford win and draw at Millwall and banked Chelsea 288 in a soccer 10.
Okay, the impossible
The soccer
dream.
13, which will be another 25 million, Paul's a carryover again.
25 million.
That's what they're expecting, the pool. I've got banked Chelsea to beat West Brom. I've gone Everton win and draw at Crystal Palace. I've gone Burnley win and draw at home against Southampton. I fancy Coventry City to avoid defeat at Barnsley. I've banked Birmingham to beat Rotherham. Cardiff City to beat Reading. I've gone Blackburn Rovers to win or draw at Derby County. Onto the second page, I've banked Brentford. I needed another banker to beat Millwall, so I've chanced them. I've gone Preston North End, win and draw at home against Stoke City. I don't see Middlesbrough losing at Queen's Park Rangers, and we end up with 3 Swedish games. I've gone Osters to win and draw at RK Brage. I've banked Halmstad to beat Luginskield, and I've chanced Young Kopping Sodra to win at Basteris, 256.
Okay, here we go. The best bets, Budge. Come on.
Paul, onto the Premiership. Yeah, I've gone Chelsea to beat West Brom, and I think West Brom will score. All they're going to do is shoot at that keeper, and I think he'll throw one in. Sheffield United to beat Leeds United, and over 1.5 goals. There has to be goals in that game, Paul. So that inflated the odds to 24-10. And I've gone Man City to beat Leicester, and over 2.5 goals. 15-1, Paul. Worked out at a great price. So 3,100 to 200 was our play. Onto the Championship, I think Birmingham City will be too good for Rotherham. I had to find another winning team at a price over even, so I've gone with my Preston boys. I think hopefully we can edge Stoke. And I've gone with both teams to score games. I've gone Barnsley Coventry and Derby Blackburn. 16-1, 3,200 to 200. Our team's goals treble. I've gone Chelsea to score over 2.5 goals. I've gone Sheffield United to score over 1.5 goals. And I think Mitrovic will cause Aston Villa problems. I've gone Fulham to score over 1.5 goals. 3,000 to 200.
That looks a good one.
Yeah.
What teams to score?
Yeah, I've gone Crystal Palace Everton. I've gone Burnley Southampton. I've gone Sheffield United Leeds. I've gone Fulham Villa. Liverpool, Arsenal, 3,600 to 200. Onto the Spanish omelette, or the quartet, sorry. I've gone Real Sociedad with David Vieira and his side to beat newly promoted Elche. I've gone Valencia to be too good for Huesca. And I've chanced both teams to score, Paul, because Atletico Madrid and Seville haven't played this year. Seville played tonight at Bayern Munich in the European Super Cup. So I've gone Atletico Madrid and Granada, who's strangely at top of La Liga, and Cadets, who won last week, and Seville. 4,800 to 200. Paul, I couldn't believe that both teams to score price on the game. So we're chancing that. And our Collis King 6 or Nexa.
Yeah, 6.
I've gone Chelsea to beat West Brom. I've gone Birmingham City to beat Rotherham. I've gone AC Milan to beat Pythagoras' team, Croton. That's where he was born. I've gone Bayern Munich to beat Hoffenheim. I've gone PSG to beat Reims. And I've gone Valencia to beat Huesca, 2,800 to 200.
Very good, Budge. Very good. And Budge, what's your best bet and value bet?
Well, my best bet's Birmingham City.
Yeah.
I fancy them 12 to 10, 11, 12 to 10, Paul, just on what, their performances against top teams. And my bet is Sheffield United, Paul. I fell for them last week. They were stiff. I think they'll beat Leeds. I know Leeds, everybody's loved them. I haven't been impressed with them defensively.
Yeah.
Sheffield United desperate. I think they'll have too much for Leeds, 17, 18 to 10.
All right, and there we go from Budge. Don't forget, it's last one standing. Get your bets in timeously. And until next time, stay on side.